and just tell us what is one thing they picked up from the last session or from last class. One thing you can remember from our last session. You can unmute, you can use the chat box. So I'm going to be looking this way and looking this way because I'm using this, my other system, to check the chat box, so it's easier for me. So can someone tell us one thing they picked up from last session? You can use the chat box, you can unmute, you can raise up your hand so I can unmute you. One person or two people. One thing you picked up from last session. Anybody?
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Go on.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I'm Tosin.
Tosin, okay.
I'll say one thing I remember vividly learning from the last class is that as a data analyst, your duty is to make sure that you help the business to boost or improve its efficiency, reduce cost, and also increase their profits.
Thank you so much, Tosin. That was like a very good one. And any other person, one more person, you can use the chat box, you can unmute, or you can just raise your hand and I'll unmute you. We've had Tosin, so another person. One more person. Okay, someone said, Victoria, I learned about the different roles of a data analyst and the organization they can work in. Okay, thank you so much, Victoria. Okay, I think that is all we can take. Thank you so much, guys. So today is day 2, and we are going to be focusing on dashboard creation. But before we start, I would like to, no, don't worry about people admitting, like people waiting in the other room. Somebody is there to admit them. So before we start today's lesson, let's look at what we did last week. So last week we did our introduction and we went through some housekeeping rules. And some of them are join early, do not mute until you're asked to. Make sure you download the necessary resources, find a quiet place to focus fully, come prepared with your questions, engage respectfully. And the most important one, this session is being recorded for promotional and educational purposes. By joining this call, you consent to being visible in the recording. So we went through our table of content for last week. We spoke about the program. We learned about what data analysis is, what it involves, the different companies or different industries that use data analysis. We spoke about problem solving, why problem solving is important, the different steps to approaching projects with a problem solving mindset. We spoke about the different projects you can embark on and the different sources for data sets. So I'm going to be emphasizing on this pre-analysis board before we start what we have for this week, because we're going to be learning more about this pre-analysis board. I'll also be showing you how to download data set from Kaggle. So we said in our pre-analysis board, we need to cover what our data captures, who collected it, why, the goal of this project, the stakeholders, and we need to have like our pre-analysis questions. It helps to guide your project. So for week 2, we are going to focus on dashboard creation. So this session is going to be hands-on, and we are going to be looking at different types of charts and their uses, pivot tables, how to use pivot tables, the rules of dashboard creation, and we are going to create our first dashboard, and then we'll have time for questions. So the first thing we're going to look at is charts. We are going to be using charts a lot. We are going to be looking at the different types of charts and what they are used for. The first one we have is bar charts. Bar charts helps us to compare quantities against categories. We want to know the number of women in our class. We want to know the number of male in our class. Different categories. We are comparing quantities. We use line charts to show trend. What is trend? Or when do we have the highest number of sales? Is it Monday? Is it Tuesday? Is it Wednesday? Trends. We want to know, show trends over time. So time, which month do we have like the highest number of sales? Which months do we have? Which year? Which months? So we're talking, when we say time, we are talking months, we are talking year, we are talking week. Then we have column charts. Column chart is similar to our bar chart. It's just that column chart is vertical, while bar chart is horizontal. I'm going to be showing you these different charts in our hands-on session. Then histogram. Histogram shows us the distribution of continuous data. Let's say we have a data set where we have different age. We want different age group and want to show the distribution. We are going to be using histogram. I'm also going to be showing you how you can group this. Most times this your age bracket will not come like this. I'm going to be showing you how you can use pivot table to group them like this. We have scatter plots. We use scatter plots when we want to show relationship between two variables. Example, advertising spend and the number of sales. Then we have pie charts. So anytime you want to show percentage or proportion of a whole, we use pie charts. Let's say we want to know the percentage of customers that use transfer, that paid via transfer, or the percentage of customers that pay via USSD or via card. So far, this percentage involved, we use pie charts. We are going to be using pivot table a lot. So pivot table allows you to summarize, group, analyze large data sets quickly. So with pivot table, you don't need to write formulas, okay? Why dashboard, which is why we are here, is a visual summary of your data. Now you're combining charts, you're combining key numbers, just so that the people you are presenting this dashboard to can easily understand trends, patterns, insights. I am rushing because we need to get into our practical session. So we have the rules of dashboard creation. We are creating dashboard, so there's rules that guide this our dashboard creation. We have rule of margin. We are going to be going through these rules again while we are doing like our practical. So, but for now, I'm just going to explain. The rule of margin, you want to make sure that we always have space around our charts, around our texts, because you don't want your dashboard to be crowded. It makes it hard to read and it makes it look messy. You need to make sure that the next rule is rule of labels. You need to make sure that your charts are properly labeled. If somebody looks at your dashboard without talking to you, can they understand what to do? That is why label is important. Rule of fonts, you want to make sure that you are close. You also want to make sure that you use the appropriate font size and font style. It helps to enhance readability and maintain consistency. You want to make sure that your work is consistent. Rule of clutter, you want to make sure that you remove unnecessary elements that do not contribute to your overall analysis. And we have the rule of hierarchy. You want to arrange your content in a way that prioritizes key insights and important information. Then we have rule of consistency. You want to ensure that you use uniform design elements across components to create a cohesive presentation. I'm going to be showing you like this in practical. We want to make sure that you use the right charts. For example, we said we use pie charts to portray percentage, to show percentage or portions of a whole, part of a whole. You don't want to use bar charts to show percentage. So we have rule of readability. You want to make sure that your information is easy to read, easy to scan and understand. You don't want to use very tiny fonts that people are struggling to see what is on your dashboard. Then we have the rule of pattern. They said people naturally scan content from top left to top right, bottom left to bottom right. So you want to take advantage of this and make sure you arrange your layout in a Z pattern. Now we have the last rule, which is the rule of no 3D. You don't want to use 3D charts because they can distort data representation and they can reduce clarity. Now, this one is, you want to make sure that, so there's something we call chart outlines. I'm going to be showing you what chart outlines are. Now, the only reason you want to use chart outlines is when you're using like light or very light color for your background, or you're using like a white background. Chart outlines are basically, there's this border. If you look at this picture here, this line here, there's like a border. So chart outlines are those borders around maybe bars, line, or pie segments. I'll be showing you what they are. Now, they make your dashboard look busy or outdated, especially when you have like a very dark background or colored background. So when you have dark background or color background, you want to make sure that you avoid chart outlines. So now we are going to go into our practical. We are going to be creating our first dashboard. So this is the link to the data set which I shared earlier. I'm going to be going to my Excel, but before I do that, I want to show you guys how to download from Kaggle. Hold on. So this is Kaggle. If you need data sets to practice with for your project, you can just go to Kaggle. So this is the link to the data set I downloaded, which I shared earlier on the group. But I want to show you how you can download it. Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to sign in. I purposely did not want to sign in because I wanted to show you what it looks like. So I want to sign in via Google. We have other sign-in methods. So I'm going to be signing in with Google because that's like the easiest. So while we are waiting for this sign-in to work, okay, so I'm already signed in. Now, I'm so sorry, network logged me out. I'll be sharing my screen again. So sorry about that. Can anyone hear me? Please, if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. Let me be sure that you can hear me. Logged me out. Okay, thank God. So I was showing you guys how to download from Kaggle, and I'll be going over it again. So this is the data sets. You sign in, and when you sign in, you want to, so there's this download button here. There's another one, but you don't want to use this one. You want to use this one here. So when you click on download, you scroll down and you see download data set as zip. So you click on this and then it is downloading here, okay? Now, when it is after after it is done downloading, you want to go to your, hold on. You want to go to your download part on your laptop. So you see this archive, most times it comes like this. It's mostly in a zipped folder. It comes in a zipped folder. You want to right click on it. And then you see extract. So you extract. Now, once you are done extracting, you can now see your data sets, which you can now open up with Excel. So now this is the data set we'll be working with, which I'm very sure everybody has downloaded. Now, this is what the data set looks like. But before we start doing anything analysis, the first thing we want to do is we want to create our pre-analysis board. Now, creating our pre-analysis board, this is what we are trying to recreate. Let me show you what we are trying to recreate. So this is the dashboard we are trying to recreate. Let me open it up fully. So this is the dashboard we are trying to recreate, this Adidas sales dashboard. But before we go into creating the dashboard, the first thing we want to do is create our pre-analysis board, which I already did here. Now, the first thing you want to do is, what is the story of your data? I already said it in the last class, and I also captured it in today's class. What is the story of our data set? Now, the story of our data set is Adidas is a leading sportswear brand that tracks its US sales data. Now, how do we know that it is just US sales data? If you scroll down, you see that the states here, we have New York, Washington, all the states here are states in the US, okay? So we captured this in our story of the data. I want to say that Adidas is a leading sportswear brand that tracks its US sales data across multiple retailers. We know that there are multiple retailers because we have retailer ID and the different retailers listed here. Now, it captures daily sales transaction, including product type, units sold, revenue, profit, sales channel, the different sales channel we have in store, we have online, we have outlets. By analyzing this data, Adidas aims to understand which product and region drive the most value. So the purpose of this, our dashboard, is we want to know how different sales methods perform, how the different products are driving, which products are driving the most value, which region are driving the most value. We also want to know where operational improvements or marketing efforts, which operational improvements or marketing efforts can yield the highest return. Now, what is the goal of this data set? Now, we want to analyze this data set across US by retailer, by region, by product, and sales method. We want to be able to identify growth opportunities and improve profitability. So this is the goal of our data set. That means whatever it is on our dashboard, we want to make sure that it satisfies this goal here. Okay. Now, what is the problem statement? Now, Adidas is looking for a way to optimize its sales strategy in the US to maximize revenue, to maximize profits. So they have different sales, different products, they have different regions, they have different retailers, and different sales channels. Now, who are the key stakeholders? Now, the key stakeholders are the sales and marketing team. Now, how do I know this? If you go back to our dashboard, you see where they mentioned the different teams. I think somewhere around here. So they said this could potentially help the government agencies, the organization, Adidas itself. Now, Adidas itself has, and this help their sales and marketing team. it can help them to identify their best-selling products, their best regions for targeted campaigns. They can also help them to optimize inventory and promotions. Now you see that in some companies, they have different retailers, some call it wholesale. They give some wholesalers bosses. They give them bosses, they give them gifts. Now, it is through analysis like this that they know who their best wholesaler is. It's not all the wholesalers they give gifts. They will give the best performances through analysis like this, that they give their best wholesalers all these gifts. They don't just pick it, like they don't just do random gifting. Now, this analysis can also help their product managers to know which product offering to refine or which one to let go of. Oh, this product is no longer doing well. People are no longer buying this product. Okay, let's stop producing this product. It is through analysis like this. Now, it can help the finance department to monitor profitability and margins. It can also help leadership to make informed decisions and growth initiatives. So now, this brings us to our pre-analysis questions. Now, the initial question we have in mind is, what are our total sales and our total profits? Which product categories have the highest revenue and profits? How do monthly sales vary over time? Which channel performs better in terms of sales volume, total revenue, and profit margin? How do retailers compare in sales performance? And which product type are the most profitable? Now, these are the questions we have. These are our pre-analysis questions. And everything here on this our pre-analysis board is going to guide what we're about to create now, our dashboard. So now we are done with our pre-analysis board. I'm going to send a copy of this pre-analysis board to the group after this class. So now this brings us to the data set we are going to work on. So the first thing you want to do is create your pre-analysis board before you do anything. Now, the next thing you want to do is this data set we downloaded. You want to make sure that sometimes they will tell you that, oh, this your file is in CSV form. So you want to make sure that you save it as Excel format. So you come to File here and you click Save As. Then you see this drop down here. You want to make sure that it is saved in Excel format and not CSV. CSV stands for this comma delimited, whatever here. This CSV, you want to make sure that you change it from CSV to Excel. Then when you're done, you save. No, I don't want to replace. So mine is already saved in Excel format. I was just showing you. Now, the first thing I want to do is, so sometimes you might make mistake. So you want to duplicate this page just in case you make mistake. So I'm going to right click here and I'll say move or make a copy. Now I want to create a copy. I do not want to move. So I want the copy I'm creating to move to the end. Move to the end means I want it to be here. If I don't click this move to the end, the new copy is going to be by the left. So once I click OK, you see that it is on the right because I said move to the end. Now I want to rename this my working sheet. Now, somebody say I'm getting confused. Covenant, can you unmute, please? And tell us what, hold on. Covenant, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please, why are you getting confused?
It was in the explanation you were stating earlier before we get into the data sheets.
Okay, the pre-analysis board.
Yes.
Okay. I just said that for this pre-analysis board, you're supposed to create your pre-analysis board before you start any analysis. It's going to help guide your project. You don't want to build a dashboard that is solving all the problems in one dashboard. So you want to make sure that you have your pre-analysis board. Now, the first thing you want to document is what is the story of this data. You want to understand. How do you know all this? By going through the column head. So this is the column head. The column head here, we have retailer ID, we have invoice. That's the day they bought this thing, the day they bought the Adidas product, the region, the state, the city, the product, the price, the unit sold, total sales. So we have all this. Now, after going through the column head, you want to ask yourself, what is the story of this data? Now, the story of this data is this data set captures the daily sales transaction, unit sold, revenue. How do I know this? From the column head. So they want to understand which product and region drive the most value. That is how we get the story of our data. Then we go over to the goal. What is the goal? They want to improve profitability. What is the problem statement? Adidas wants to optimize their sales strategy in the US to maximize revenue and profits. Now, with this, we already have questions. Because we are trying to improve profitability, what are their total sales? What are their total profits? How do monthly sales vary over time? Which channel is giving us more profits? Which retailers are doing well in terms of sales performance? Okay. So covenants, are you okay now? Like, is the explanation
Yes,
better now?
ma. Yes. Yes, ma. Thank you,
Okay.
ma.
Okay, you're welcome. So the next thing we want to do is, like I said, I will send the pre-analysis board to the group. Okay. Now this is the data set we downloaded. The first thing I did was to duplicate it by clicking on move or copy. I chose move to end and I said create a copy, and then I clicked on OK. I've done that. Then I renamed my sheet to working sheets because this is the sheet we'll be working on. We will not be touching this one. Now this working sheet, now the first thing I want to do is, you see that this table, this data came with a logo. So I'm going to click on it. I also forgot something. Now, when you download it, sometimes it might tell you to enable editing. There's a button somewhere here. You click on it to enable editing. If not, you will not be able to edit anything. So I'm going to click on this. As soon as I highlight this, I'll click on my delete button on my keyboard. I want to delete all this. Now, I want this retailer stuff here to come up. So I'm going to click on this role and I'll right click and I'll say delete. I want to delete the entire role. Now I've deleted that role. I'll do the same thing again. Right click, delete. Okay, I have another question. Sorry, I'm going to be looking here and here. The chat box is open here, so it's easier for me. Someone said, how do I duplicate, please? Now you right click here. This is the data set we downloaded, right? You right click and then you see move or copy. You click on move or copy. Now, you do not want to move. We want to create a copy, which is we want to duplicate this page. So I'm going to say move to end because if you don't say move to end, the duplicated copy is going to appear on the left, which you can still drag to the right. But to make things easier, you click on move to the end and you click on create a copy. After that, you click OK. Okay. This question is coming from Ade. I don't know how to pronounce that name, but did you get the explanation? Okay, so I think the person got it. Now, we've learned how to download from Kaggle. We've learned how to duplicate. We've learned how to delete. So there's still one more column here. I'm still going to... yes, you can listen and watch. You listen, you watch what I'm doing. Then if you have questions, you answer. If you can follow up, you follow up. Okay. So I want to delete, there's this role here that I want to delete this role here. So I'm going to right click and I'll look for delete an entire row. I'll say okay. So now we have this column head on this first row here. Okay. Now this is what we want. Now, if you notice, there's also this empty column here. Remember, when Mr. Elijah was going through the basics for Excel, he explained rows and column. So there's an empty column here. We want to remove it. So I'm going to click on this here, right click, and I'll say delete column, entire column. So now we've deleted the entire column. Now this is what we want. So the next thing I want to do is I like to go through my data. Now, how do I go through my data? Now, some data sets might come with empty rows. When I mean empty rows, I mean, for example, this whole row like this, there will not be any data inside, okay? So we want to just go through our data to see if we have empty rows, to see what if we have missing cells, missing values, just to go through our data. So I'm going to go through. We are still going to do it again, but yeah. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to convert my table to, I want to convert my sheet to a table. Now, how do I'm going to be telling you why I'm converting it to a table and how I am going to convert it to a table. Now, the first thing I want to do is, these are my table headers. This A1 here. So we have my table headers here. Now I'm going to highlight this table headers. And how do I highlight it? I'm going to click on A1. Please, if I'm too fast, let me know. I'm going to click on A1. I'll left click. The first step is click on A1, left click, and then I'll drag. I'll drag to my right. I'm using my mouse pad to drag. I'll do it again. The first step is to click on your A1, left click, and drag. Now I've highlighted my column headers. Now, normally when you want to highlight everything, I want to convert the whole data on this sheet to a table. And I'll tell you why converting it to a table makes your work easier. I should have just done Control A. But the reason why you do not want to do Control A, let me show you why you should not do Control A. I'm going to insert a role under this. Please do not do this part. No, let me undo this. Control Z is going to be your friend though in this Excel because you might make a whole lot of mistake and you want to just Control Z. So I'm going to be inserting an entire role here. Okay. Now this is why you should not do Control A. Instead, you should do hold Control, Shift, and down. Now, let's say this empty role is somewhere in the middle of our data set. And let's say you did not know that this empty role is there. And you clicked on, let's say this, and you do Control A. Now you can see, let me insert another row so you understand what I'm saying. I'm going to insert another empty row. Please do not do this. I just want to show you why Control A is not good for you to convert to a table. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to say Control A. Now you see how Control A doesn't highlight everything. You can see that it stops where you see this empty row. Let's say you did not see this empty row and you did Control A. You just notice that you have been working with, you're not working with the complete data you're supposed to work with. But if I decide to highlight this by clicking on A1, holding my left click and dragging to the end, and I do hold my Control Shift and down, you can see that Control Shift down, it highlights everything. But if you do Control A, and you have empty rows, it is not going to highlight everything. So I'm going to do Ctrl Z to remove those empty rows that I added, just to show you why you should not use Ctrl A. And then we are going to do the right thing. Click on my A1, highlight my headers, and do Ctrl Shift and down. Now, once I do Ctrl Shift and down, I'll leave it. So you can see how it's highlighted everything here. I want to convert to a table. There are two methods. Either you go to Insert and you click on Table. Okay? You see Excel is already telling us that there's a shortcut, Ctrl T. You hold Ctrl and you press T. Okay? So I'm going to hold Ctrl and press T. As soon as I do that, they will ask me, where is the data for your table? Because I already highlighted my whole data, all this thing here is the highlighted data. Now, you want to make sure that you check this box because your table has headers, column headers, these headers here. So once you are done, you click OK. Okay. Now, this is why tables are very useful. Now, I can just click on this drop down, this arrow here. If I click on this drop down, I can see everything here. I can even filter. If I want to see Amazon retailers, I'll just click on Amazon and click OK. So you can see that I can only see Amazon. You can see that we have number 1 here, and then we have number 1150. Victoria said, how can I convert to table? I missed it. Okay, I'm going to be going through that again. So you can see that because I clicked on this and I selected only Amazon, we only have Amazon here. So you see row number 1, row number 1150. It means the other numbers you cannot see, they are not from Amazon. They are not Amazon retailers. Now to clear this, I'm just going to come here and click on clear filter. Now let me show you how to convert to table. You want to click on your A1, highlight your column head, and then you do Ctrl Shift down. There are two methods. Either you go to Insert. Remember, I said we have different versions of Excel. So I'm using Microsoft 365. So mine is going to be different from yours, unless you're using Microsoft 365. So you click on Insert and you click on Tables. So I already converted to a table. So you see why mine is not showing again, because this is already a table. Now, if you want to take it back to what we had before, if you no longer want to convert to a table, all you have to do is come to table design and you click on convert to range. So it's going to convert this table into normal range of cells. So we don't want to do that now, but this is how you do it if you no longer want this. Have you gotten that, Victoria? So there are two methods. Either once you highlight, you just do Ctrl T, and you see convert to table. You want to make sure that my table has headers, is clicked. So now that we are done with that, you also want to go through your data set again. You're welcome. You also want to go through your data set again to look out for empty rows. So we don't have empty rows here. I'm going to click on this drop down we don't have, so if we have, let me show you something. Just in case the data set you'll be working on has this. So I'm going to insert table rows above. Don't do this, please. I want to just show you something. If I click on this drop down, you are going to see blanks here. Blank means we have blank cells. Okay? So you might have blank cells in the data set you'll be working with. So this is how you know you want to, for example, if you want to see all the blank cells that you have, you just click OK, and it is showing you all the blank cells, and it is showing you that it is in row 2. So I'm going to Ctrl Z to remove that and to remove this empty row I just placed. So I'm going to be deleting it. Delete table row. So if you have empty rows, you can just delete them. Okay. Now, empty rows. So empty rows is different from empty cell. Empty cell is, let's say, I delete, please do not do this. I delete everything here. This is an empty cell. But empty row means everything on this row is empty. Now, if you have empty row, you should delete it because it will do nothing to your data. To just help you with get wrong numbers. Now, I'm going to click on this drop down to see what we have here. So we don't have any blank cell. I'm going to go through all my column heads. So we don't have any blank cell. I'm clicking on this drop down. Another thing we want to do is I'm going to put my cursor here. As soon as I put my cursor here, it changes to like a cross sign. I want to double click so that I can see everything here clearly. I'm going to be doing it for others so it can adjust and I can see what is in my data set clearly. So I'm going to continue. I'm clicking on this to see if we have empty cells. Now, if you have empty cells, there are different things that can happen. Let's say, for example, you have empty, you don't know what is here. You can just put NA, not available. But for numbers, you can either reach out to the person that gave you the data sets, or the person, if you're working with a company, you want to reach out to the data engineer to ask, oh, why are these cells empty? But for texts, if you don't have like a data engineer, you're just working on your own. For numbers, in most cases, you might want to look for the average and just fill it in, and it depends. But for text, you might just want to put not available. So I'm going through this to see if I have any blank cells. I don't have any blank cell. No blank cell. No blank cell. Okay. So now that we are sure we don't have any blank cell, the next thing I want to do is I want to go to I want to make sure that we don't have duplicates. Now, duplicate does not mean, for example, now say this place we have footlocker. This is not duplicate. Duplicate means that this whole data here appeared 2 times, like everything on this row appeared 2 times. So you want to make sure that you don't have duplicate data. And how do we check to see if we have duplicate data? We want to go to somewhere around here. Remember that so I'm going to look for duplicate data, which should be under view, I think. Okay, now view. Okay. So for duplicate data, I'm going to go to my data tools. We have remove duplicates. So I'm going to click on this. It's going to ask me to select the columns I want to delete duplicates from. I'm going to check this. My data has headers here. How do we know if they are blank cells? I'm going to go over it again. Covenant. So I'm going to make sure that all my columns are selected. So by clicking select all, my table has headers, and I'm going to say okay. So you can see that it says no duplicate found. But if you had duplicate, it will tell you the number of duplicates is removed. Okay. Now, for your blank cells, after converting to table, you can easily just click on this drop down and it will show you blank here. So if it shows you blank, it means you have blank cells. You can just select to see the blank cells that you have. Okay, that's how you know if you have blank cells. Now you notice that when I scroll down, I can no longer see my column head. So I want to freeze this column head now. I'm going to come to view, okay? Under view, you have freeze panels. We have different panels in case you want to freeze any of this, but we want to freeze our top row. So once I click on this, it will freeze this top row in such a way that even though I scroll down, I can still see my column headers. Did we get that? So the next thing we want to do is we want to make sure that our column, okay, Victoria said she did not get this. Please, what did you not get? Is it the freeze panel? Freezing the top row? Okay, she said the freezing top row. Now, I am going to unfreeze this so that you see what I'm saying. You notice that when I scroll down, I can no longer see the column headers, okay? So I want to freeze this row so that even though I scroll down, I'll be able to see my column header. I'm going to go to view and then I'll go to freeze panes. Now, there are different panes you can freeze, but the one we want to freeze is the top row. So once I click top row, freeze top row, you can see that we freezed our top row. So even though you scroll down, you can still see your column headers. Did you get that, Victoria? Okay, you're welcome. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to expand. So there are cases where the data sets you are working with is not enough to get you want to expand your data columns. So this is not enough. The data here is not enough to give you the analysis that you want. Because take, for instance, in our pre-analysis board, we want to know, let me go back to our pre-analysis board. So in our pre-analysis board, we had how do monthly sales vary over time? Now, in this our data set here, there's no column for months, but we can expand this data set to extract months from this our invoice dates. Now, how do we do that? We use what we call the text formula. And I'm going to use the text formula to extract our months from this invoice dates. Okay. So I'm going to come to this column here. I'm going to use the text formula. We use the text formula to format a value. We tell it how we want to format it and it will do it for us. So I'm going to say equal to show Excel that I want to write a formula. Okay. So I'm going to say equal to, then I'll say text. I'm going to click on text. So in Excel, there are different ways to get a particular thing. So we can use this text formula. So it's asking us, you can see what it requires. We want the value. So which text are you formatting and how do you want to format it? So I'm going to click on, we want to format our invoice date. So I'm going to click on invoice dates. So you can see that Excel imputed it for me. I'm going to come here and I'll say comma. So you can either write the comma here, you can just come here and write it, but I'll continue here. I'll say comma. So Excel is asking, how do you want to format it? I'm going to press space and put, oh, sorry. I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to come inside this stuff here. I'm going to write how I want to format it. So there are two methods. If I do, remember we are trying to know the months, okay? Now, if I do MMMM, which is 4 M's, and I click enter, Excel will give me the full month's name. But if I do that's M 3 times, it's going to give me the short format. So if I open this drop down now, you see the short format for January to December. Okay. But in our case, we don't want the short format, we want the full format. So I'm going to say M 4 times and I'll click enter. Now, in your case, it's my just the January might just be just here, January. Okay. You want to, sorry, I want to delete this. Let me just Control Z. So in your case, it might just be the January is just here. You see this, as soon as I put my cursor here, so that it fills in for all the columns. Did everybody get that? Or should I go through it again? So I'm going to rename this to months. Okay. I'll go through the formula again. Texts. We use text for formatting. We want to format our invoice dates to extract the months. Because we want the full month, we are going to say M 4 times. But because if we want the short, we are going to say the short version of month, we're going to say M 3 times. Did we get that? Is anybody confused? If you are confused, now is the best time to talk. Yes, so where are you confused? What's confusing you? Which part? Is it the formulas?
Is the naming the month part? Because my own invoice, like I rename it on top, like invoice date, but it's telling me that I cannot name it like that. It must not start with character, something like that. So maybe you can just retake that month part again, please.
So for the month parts, I said, let me delete this column again. So I said, sorry, it's raining, no, in case I will have to shout. So for the months, I said equal to text. Want to tell Excel that we are writing a formula. So I'm going to say texts, okay? Now, once I say texts, we use text formula to format. So it's asking you, which cell do you want to format? Remember, I did not write the invoice myself. As so far your bracket is open, you can click on any cell that you want to format. So I'm going to click on invoice dates. Once I click on invoice dates, remember the text formula needs value, and the next, after your value, which is my invoice date, I'm going to put comma. You can see that value is showing blue. As soon as I click comma, format text is now showing blue. It means I have given the text formula my value. Now it's asking me, how do you want to format it? So I'm going to say, I want my full month. So I'm going to say M for months. I'm going to use small letter. Months, 1, 2, 3, 4 means somebody is writing on my screen. Who is doing that, please? So I'm going to say M, months 4 times. Means I want the full month. So I'm going to click enter. But if I want the short form of month, I'm going to say M. Did you get that, Adi? Somebody even dropped the formula. Somebody say you don't know what we are calculating. We are trying to get the months from our other dates. Remember, we want to calculate trend from our... Somebody say, how do we handle null values? Peculiar. So I said, it depends. For example, let's say we have a product and it's showing, this place now is showing blank. We can just come here and put NA, not available. So it just depends on the context. It depends, like where is the null value appearing in? Is it Is it the price that you're looking for? Is it the, like, what are you looking for? So it depends on the context. Okay. So now we have the months. The next thing we want to, somebody said, I don't know what we are calculating. Cynthia, please, do you understand what we are calculating now? Can you unmute? Cynthia, you can unmute. So is anybody else confused? So now let's continue. Now that we have the months, we also want to know the week. We've gotten months and we've gotten from our other dates. Okay, Cynthia is not saying anything. Can anyone hear me? Okay. Please, if you can hear me, give me, okay. Thank you. So what we want to do, we also want to extract the week. Now for the week, we want to extract the week from our other dates, the week where we sold this stuff here. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to say equal to text again. Now, we want to extract this week from our invoice date, which is just the same thing. We are going to come here and we say comma. Now, for the week, for months, we did MMM, but for the day of the week, we are going to say D. Now, D 4 times means we want the full spelling of the weekday, the day of the week. So once I click enter, it's going to give us the day of the week. So I'm going to come here and say day of the week. I'm going to double click here to write day of the week. So we did, if you want the short format, the same thing with the month. I'll just put D 3 times and it will give us the short format, but we want the long format. So I'm saying D 4 times. Okay. Did we get that? Is anybody confused? So it's just the same thing with the months formula, but it's just that here we put D instead of M for months. Is anybody confused? Okay. Now that we are done with expanding columns, we want to start our analysis proper. Now, the first thing I want to do is we are going to be using what we call pivot tables. I explained what pivot tables are. Okay. Now, how do we use pivot tables? That's where we are now. For pivot table, I can just click on any, this is a table. So everything here is part of a table. Okay. Now, the first thing I like to do is I like to name my table. So I'm going to come here. I'll click on any parts of my table. Yes, we are signing attendance form at the end of the class, Jacob. Now, the next thing we want to do is we click on table design. We click on any part of the table and then we click on table design. Now, table design, you see table name here. So there's a box here. Excel is already saying to edit the name of this table used to refer to it in the formulas. So I'm going to come here and name my table Adidas. Once I'm done, I'll press enter. So my table name is now Adidas. You can give it any name you like, but you're going to be seeing why I named it very soon. Okay. Now, did everybody get this part where I renamed my table? Victoria, please unmute and tell us where you are lost. Don't be lost. We have not started. Okay. Victoria, please unmute.
This place you just did now, this renaming.
Okay. So I clicked on any part of my table, right? I clicked on table design. Remember, I was here before, home. So click on any parts of your table. So far you're on your table. You click on, remember, we converted to a table, right? So once you go to table design, you see table name. I can't remember what it was before. So you just come here, click on the cell and rename to Adidas. Once you are done, you press enter. Did we get that? Rosemary has gotten that. So Victoria, did you get that?
Thank you.
Victoria. Okay. Let's
Yes,
continue.
I did. I did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, well. So now let's continue. Now we use pivot table to summarize. In fact, we use pivot table to do a lot. Remember here now, we have to use formulas. If I want to know the total sales here, I'll have to use formulas. But to make it easy, we are going to be using pivot tables. We are not going to be dropping the attendance form on the WhatsApp group. So Maurice, please send me a DM now, then later I'll attend to you. So the next thing we want to do is we want to insert our pivot table. So I'm going to say, I'll click on any part of my table again, and I'll go to insert, okay? Now, once I click on insert, I'll see pivot table here by my left, okay? Now, Excel is already telling us pivot table easily arranges and summarizes complex data in a pivot table. Now, I'm going to click on pivot table. Now, you see why we should rename our table, right? Our table name is already showing here as Adidas. Now, this thing is basically saying, which table do you want to create your pivot table from? Our Adidas table. Remember, I did not impute anything. No? You can see this green line here, right? Excel has highlighted my whole Adidas table. Let me do it again. Click on any part of your table, go to insert, and you click on pivot table. Once you click on pivot table, because you were on the table when you click insert pivot table, it's going to show you your table name. Now it's asking you, where do you want to place this pivot table now? Do you want it on a new worksheet? Remember, these things here are sheets. Do you want it on a new worksheet, or do you want it on an existing worksheet? So we are going to say new worksheet. I'm going to show you how to use this existing worksheet later. I'm going to click OK. Now, as soon as I click OK, it has created a new worksheet for me. But I don't want my worksheet to be here. I want it to be after my working sheet. So I'm going to put my cursor on sheet 2, left click, and I'll drag. Now, as soon as I'm dragging, you can see there's this small arrow here. I'll drag it to this place. Once the arrow is here, I'll leave it. So my worksheet is now here. Did we get that? Is anybody confused? Is anybody confused on how we created our pivot table? Okay, everybody, we are going to go. Now, the first thing we want to do is we want to rename our sheets. So because we want to on this our working sheet here, we have our products. We have our different products here. Let's see how many products we have. We have 2, 4, 6 products. Okay. Now we want to know the total sales each of these products gave us. Okay. So I'm going to come here and rename this sheet to total sales by product category. And I'll press enter. So total sales by product category. Did everybody get that? I just renamed my sheets, okay? So no question yet. Okay, so we are good to go. Okay, very good. Now, we want to know the total sales by our product category. Now, this is how somebody say you don't understand. Zoom user, because that's the name. Please unmute and let us know what you don't understand. Or you can use the chat box. No, we just expanded our data sets, okay? We are not working with months. We are going to use months later. Not now. We are going to use months later. Just relax, okay? We are using months later. Did you get that? Uchechi victory. Okay, we are going to use months later. Just relax, okay? Now, I want to know the total sales made by each of these products that we have. Now, this is where pivot table comes in. Now, in some cases, this thing might not be open though. So let me close my own and show you how to open it. I'm going to click on the pivot table, which is this box here. And then I'll go to pivot table analyze, up here. I'll click on it. Now, once I click on it, you see field lists here. I'll click on field lists and it will bring out my pivot table field. Do we get that? So Zoom user, you've not created your month and your week. So somebody dropped the formula on the chat box. Victoria, please, can you unmute? Unmute and let me know where.
Please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I didn't get this last thing you just did now. Sorry.
Okay. So, Zoom user, I think you should just maybe rewatch the lesson, okay? Please. Okay, I might go back to it, but for now, just see if you can follow up. We're not using months now, but we're using it later. So I said in some cases, when you create pivot table, that field list will not be open. So this is what you do. You click on the pivot table. So if I click on this cell here now, you will not see pivot table analyze because you are not on the pivot table. So I'm going to click on the pivot table, which is this box here. Okay. Once you click on it, you see pivot table analyze. Then you click on field lists. It opens up your pivot table field. Victoria, did you get that? Victoria, did you get that? We have not started.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So now let's look at total sales by products. Now, this is why pivot table is so beautiful. I'm going to scroll down. Now, what we have here, let me explain. What we have here are our columns. Your own might not be the way my own is arranged though, but it's the same content. So you can also search here. We want product, Abi. So I'm going to come to this search bar here. I'll say products in case your columns are too much. Okay, you can use the search bar. Now, Excel is asking us, you can drag this product to any of this field. Do you want it to be your column? Do you want it to be your row? Do you want it to be your filter? Do you want it to be your value? Okay, so as I put it in value, it showed us the count of products, which is not. So we don't want it as value. We want it to be as rows. So I dragged products from this place now. I dragged products and I put it inside my row box. Did we get that? So if you cannot find product, just come to this search bar all your columns from your data sets. You can even see the months we created. You can see the day of the week we created. Okay? All your columns are here. You just drag products. How do you drag? You put your cursor on what you want to drag, which is products, which you can see here. Put your cursor here, left click and drag. Okay, to rows. Did we get that? Is anybody confused? So now you can see here that we have all our products here. Okay. Now we want to see the total sales that each of these products gave us. The total sales that each of these products gave us. Now, how do we do that? We have our total sales here. I'm going to drag it to values. Can we see that? So I dragged products to rows and I dragged total sales to values. Is anybody confused? So that means everybody got that, Abby? Okay. So now let's continue. I'm waiting for questions, so no questions, Abby? Okay. Now let's continue. Now we have, you can see that why pivot table. Can I repeat? Victory. Okay. So let me uncheck this box so that it goes away. So I'm going to drag my products. We want to know the total sales by each product. I'm going to come here. You can just click on this bar here. I've seen products. I drag it and drop in my rows section. I want to know my total sales by each product. So I'll drag total sales to values, meaning I want the value, my value here is total sales. I want the total sales of each product. Did you get that, Victory? Victory, did you get that? Okay, thank you. So now we know the total sales by products. Okay. Now we want to bring in our charts. Now that we know the total sales, I'm going to click on this pivot table. When I click on this pivot table, I'll go to insert, and then I'll go to recommended charts. Now you can see the different charts that are available to us here. But the one we want to use is our bar chart. Okay. So once I click bar chart, it will show you how it looks like here. So you are sure that you really want to choose your bar chart. Remember, I clicked on my pivot table, I clicked on insert, and then I clicked on recommended charts, or I clicked on chart. So once I've seen how it looks like here, I'm going to click on OK. Is anybody confused? So this chart, you can drag and move it. So I can put my cursor here, left click and drag it to this place. I don't want it to block my pivot table. Is anybody confused? That means we are there, Abby. Okay, so let's continue since we don't have any questions. I'm not going to be using my pivot charts field, so I'm going to close it. I'll click on this X here to close it. Okay. Yeah, correct. Now, this is my chart. We are going to format this chart now so that it looks like what we are trying to recreate. The first thing I like to do is I want to name my chart. So sometimes you might not see this total here. You just click on this plus. So this plus, you can see that Excel is telling us chart element. Do you want to add, remove chart element, such as title, legend? So you just click on it. and you check this chart title because we want chart title. Okay. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to name my chart. Remember, we said proper use of labels. That's one of the rules of our dashboard creation. So I'm going to say total sales by product category. Now, once I'm done, I'll just click outside my cell. So I'm done with the name. So I think there's like an extra space here. I want to remove it. I've removed it. So yeah. Now this is what we have. Is anybody confused? No question yet. So please, you have to pay attention to this part because it is very tricky. Now, I don't want to see all these things here. This sum of total sales product, I don't want to see it. Okay. So I'm going to right click on this one here. I'll put my cursor here. I'll right click. And then I'll click on, there are two hide value fields. We don't want that. We want hide all value buttons on charts. So I'm going to click on this. Now you can see that we've removed all that, right? Is anybody confused? No questions yet. So let's continue. I'm going to click on this, my total now. I don't want to see it. I said, are you confused? Okay, you said no. Okay, that's fine. So I'm going to click on this total now. And I'll press backspace. Sorry, yes, backspace or delete to delete it. I don't want to see it. Are we there? No questions yet, so we are good to go. Now, the next thing I want to do is it's time to format proper. Now, I want my bar charts to be arranged. There should be some sort of hierarchy, either from smallest to biggest or from biggest to smallest. So I'm going to come to this, my sum of total sales. I'll click on this. Then I'll right click. So once I right click here, I'm going to see sort. Do I want to sort from smallest to largest? Yes. So I said sort. So see sort here. You move your cursor towards the right and you see smallest to largest. So you see that there's some sort of hierarchy here. No questions yet. So we are going to go. If you have questions, now is a good time to ask. Now, the next thing we want to do is I don't want this bar here, but before I remove that, let's just do something else. Now, the space between my bars, they are too much. Let me show you what I mean. So look at this men's street footwear here. The space between this bar and this bar, it is too much. So I want to fix it. I'm going to click on this plus here. Okay. Then once I click on plus, I'm going to click on this bar here. Now, once I click on this bar, I'm going to see more options. Now, did we get that? I clicked on my charts, clicked on plus, clicked on this bar here, and then I clicked on more options. Okay, are we good to go? Do we have any questions? No questions, okay. Now, I want to adjust the gap width. That means this bar, I don't want this space that is between this bar. Like it's too much. Let me do this again. Plus, click on plus, axis. There's like an extra bar here. I'll click on more options. Now, because I want to format the space between these bars, I will come here and click on the bars. Now you can see that we now have series option, Abi, because I clicked on the bars. So I want to reduce the gap width to 30. So I'm going to come here, clean this, and say 30, and I'll press enter. So you can see that the gap width has reduced. Is anybody confused? Okay, no questions. So the next thing we want to do is, next thing we want to do is sorry, I'm looking at the chat box and there's no question. So the next thing we want to do is there's something we call data labels. So we want to add our data labels. So I'm going to click on this plus again. You see that my data labels is unchecked. But once I just put my cursor there, you can see that my data labels is showing. My data labels are simply what's the total sales for each of these bars. Okay, so I'm going to go there and click on data, sorry, not data table, data labels. I'll check the box. So we now have our data labels. Now, since we have our data labels here, there's no need for us to have these ones here. So I'm just going to select this. I'll just select this. Once this blue stuff is showing here, I'll just press delete. Okay? So you can still expand this box if you like. Is anybody confused? Any questions? If you have questions, now is the time to ask. Okay, please, can you unmute? Which first part are you talking about? We are going to be first. Okay, please, can you unmute or... Okay, for the size, okay. So for the size, I clicked on plus, axis, this arrow here. Okay, no, sorry. If you have a noisy background, it's fine. Use the chat box, okay? Thank you. So you click on this here, and you click on more options, okay? Now, because I want to adjust the bars, I'll just come and click on these bars here. You can see that this top here changed. I'll come here, edit it to 30%. 30%, that is it. As soon as you change it to 30%, you press enter, that is it. Victoria, you have a question. Funke, did you get that? Okay, you're welcome. Victoria, what's your question? You can unmute. Victoria, do you have your question? You can unmute. So while we're waiting for Victoria, let's continue. Okay, I've answered it. Okay, you're welcome. So now, the next thing we want to do is, there's something we call grid lines. You see this line you're seeing here? This line here, we want to remove it. So I can just click on this. So I can still do the same thing now. Click on this. You can see grid lines. I can just come here and uncheck it. Okay, so that the grid line is not showing. Now, this brings us to, and you can use any gap widths of your choice, but you want to make sure that it is okay, it is visually appealing. So now this brings us to, I want to format the color of this column. Okay, so I want to show you how I format my column. Now, Adidas, their logo, because I'm working on an Adidas data set, their logo is this gray color stuff. It's not entirely black. So I'm going to go to my browser. I will send the link to you guys. So since the Adidas color is gray, I'll come to this color.adobe and I'll click gray. Now, once I click dark gray, I'll see different shades of gray. Different shades of gray. So I ended up using this one. Now, this is where this shade I chose comes in. Now, the beautiful thing about this Adobe color, it gives you like 5 shades of the color you choose. So I'm going to click on, you're welcome. I'm going to click on this one. Now, once I click on it, you can see that it says copied. I'll click on it again. It says copied. So I've copied it. I'm going to come to my Excel. And I'll go to my, please hold on. I want to remove this stuff here. So I'm going to go back to my charts. I want to format the color. I don't want it to be blue. I want to use dark gray. Remember, we want our color to be consistent. Okay? At the end of this class, I'm going to be, you can just use any color you like now. At the end of the class, I'll send you all the colors I use so you can format yours, because it's going to be your assignment to recreate this dashboard. I'm going to click on this box here. Now, if I wanted one color for all of them, let me do it again. If I wanted one color for all of them, I'm going to click once on it. You can see that it's highlighted all my bars, okay? I'm just going to come to this place. There are different ways you can achieve something in Excel. I'm going to come to this place here. And I'm going to, you can click on any of these colors. Can we see that? So we also have gray here. We have different palettes. You can decide to use this gray palette instead of going to Adobe to look for another palette. You can decide to use this palette, any of these palettes here. But because I got my color from outside, attendance is at the end of this class, Morris. So I'm going to click on more colors. I'll click on custom. And I'll paste it here under hex. As soon as I do that, I'll press enter. Now, this is happening because I selected all my bars, okay? But I want different colors for different bars. It just makes it beautiful. So I'm going to select this one, go back to my color palette. I'll pick the second one. And I'm going to come back here. Since I've selected this, you can see this blue stuff here. I'll click on this. More colors, and I'll click on this. Now the colors I recently used, so you don't need to impute. Once this next one is, I'll pick the third color. I'm breaking. Sorry, can you guys hear me? Please hold on, let me see the chat box. Okay, Ijoma is lost. Ijoma, please, can you unmute and tell us where you are lost? Can you hear me now? Hold on, please. It's raining here, so the network might be bad. Am I still breaking? Can someone confirm if I am breaking? Please unmute and tell me if I'm still breaking. Slightly. Oh, Jesus. Okay, it's fair now. Oh, thank God. Okay, so I'm going to rephrase. So the third one is raining in my area. I'm so sorry. I've picked the third one. I will come here and I will add my color the same way. More colors. I'll put in my hex here. I'll press enter. I'll come in here, pick the fourth one. Pick the fourth one, which is this one. I'll pick it here. More colors. Impute it in my hex. Remember, custom, not standard. Then you press OK. And the last one, I'll pick this. So you can even decide that you want this one to be the same color here. So I'll just put it here. Now we are done with the first one, total sales. Now, because we want second column placement, I'm going to redo this chart again. This is not our only chart for this dashboard, okay? So just listen carefully, okay? So the next chart I will create, I'll still do the same thing I did with this chart again. Okay, Ijoma, please. So I'm going to click on home. Now I want my text color because I want to be consistent. I'm going to click on my title. You can also change it from here if you like. I'm going to come to my, so this one here is for background color, your fill color. Like what do you want to fill it with? Why this one here is for your font color. So I'm going to go to font color. I want it to be my darkest shade of gray, which is this, my dark gray. Yes, you get the recording, Nuella, okay? So sorry. You get the recording later. So I want this one to be dark gray. I'm going to click on this too. I'll click on this. I'll select this whole stuff here. Go to my font color and make it dark gray because I want to be consistent. I'll click on the data label too. Come here, dark gray. So now that we are done with these charts, we are done with formatting these charts. We are going to be creating another chart. I don't know, this stuff is disturbing me. But yeah, let's continue. Now, because I don't want to be stressing myself, this is what I'm going to do to make things faster. I just wanted to show you how to create a pivot table. Now, I'm going to create a new sheet by clicking on this plus here. You can see Excel is already telling me new sheets. So I'll click on new sheets. I have a new sheet here. Now, the second thing I want to know is, I want to know monthly sales trend. Now, this is where that month we created will come in. So I'm going to say monthly sales trend. Now, because I don't want to, this monthly sales trend is also going to be the name of our charts. I'm going to do Control A and Control C to copy it, so I don't have to do it again. Then I'll come back to my working sheets. I want to close this up. I'll come back to my working sheets. I want to insert pivot table. Now, I'll click on any part of my table. I'll click on insert. I'll click on pivot table, and I'll say from table / range. I'll click on this. Now, Excel is saying the table, Adidas table. Yes. Because I had already created my sheet for monthly sales trend, I'm going to say existing worksheets. Okay. Now, when I click on existing worksheets, Excel is going to say, okay, where is the location? I'm going to come to my monthly sales trend. You can see that my cursor here is blinking. I'm going to come to my monthly sales trend, and I'm going to click on any cell here. Now, you can see I'm going to click on OK. Now, this is the second method. So either you want Excel to create a new sheet for you, or you already created your sheets and you want to put the pivot table on an existing worksheet. Is anybody confused? Now, because we don't want to be going through that long method again, I'm going to duplicate this page. So I'll click on monthly sales trend. I'll right click and I'll click on move or copy. I want to create a copy, but I want the new copy to move to the end, which is by the right here. So once I click this, I'll click on OK. Okay, now we've duplicated it. So we don't have to be doing, oh, we'll go to our working sheets, we don't want to be doing that again. So now on this our pivot table, remember if your pivot table is not open, you want to click on pivot table, analyze, and you want to click on field list to open and close. Now we want to know our monthly sales trend. Monthly sales, so it means I'll put my months in rows, I'll put my sales Where's my total sales? Because I don't have strength to be looking for it. I'll just come to my search bar and I'll type sales. So I'll drag my total sales to values. Now we have our monthly sales trend. Is anybody confused? Now we said we use a particular chart to show trend. Who can tell me what that chart is? The chart we use to show trend. Anybody can unmute. Who can tell me the charts we use to create trends? We mentioned it while we were doing our line chart. Thank you so much, Funke. So we're going to come here and we'll click on inserts. Thank you so much, line charts. Yes, Victoria and Oye, Emmanuel. I'm going to go with Emmanuel. So I'm going to click on this, my pivot table, and I'll click on insert, and I'll click on recommended charts, and I'll click on line charts because we want to show trend. Now you can, if I just put my cursor on it to show you how your pivot, how your chart is going to look like. So I'm going to say okay. I'm going to say okay. Now I'll put my cursor here, left click and drag it because I don't want it to cover my pivot table. And then I'm going to close this up. Now we are basically going to do the same thing we did before. I'm going to come here and copy my monthly sales trend because I don't want to write it again. I'm going to come here, Control A and Control V to paste it. Is anybody confused? No question yet. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing I did in the other charts. Right click here, hide all field buttons on charts. I'll hide it. I'll click on this and press delete. Okay. Now I'm going to click on this. I'm going to be faster since we've explained it before. I'll click on my data labels. Now, as soon as I click on my data labels, you now see that I no longer need this number again. So I'll click on this and I'll press delete. Okay. Now, the problem with this grid line is this, if you are wondering what is grid line, see this line now, that is not this one. Sorry, let me do it again. You can see this line now, this horizontal line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, these 7 lines now. My problem with it is that it is too, so it's either you click on it and reduce the width so that it's a little bit invincible because you don't want it to be too visible. Okay, either you come here and you reduce the width. If you want to click on it, the grid lines, you can see how you can format it here. So there are different things you can do to it. For me, I just like to remove it in general. So if I click on it, I'll just press backspace to remove it. Now I want to expand this, okay? There are so many things you can do. You can click here and even reduce this. You can increase it. So there are so many things you can do here. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to make sure that my colors are uniform. So I'll come here, click on my darkest shade, come here, click on my darkest shade for the text. Then I want to make sure that I'm using my consistent colors, darkest shades too. Now, for this line chart, the way you format line chart is different. So you can either come here, once you just click on this and it highlights this line. So you can either come here and you click on this. So you see color here. You click on this and you click on the color that you want. So because we've chosen those colors to show us your recent colors here. So we are done formatting this. So you see that it's a little bit faster. Now, because we duplicated this monthly trend, we no longer have to do insert pivot table. So I'm going to duplicate it again. Is anybody confused? No question yet. So I'm going to say move to end with the copy. I'm trying to be fast. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to say sales. Somebody's mic is unmuted. Who is that? Okay. So I'm going to say sales by sales method. So I'm going to come here and say sales. We want to know which sales by sales method. Remember, we want to, that's what is focused on, profitability. How can they make more money? So we press enter. I'm going to copy it because I don't want to, it's also going to be my chart title. I'll click on my pivot table analyze, field, lists. So I'm going to say total sales, my value. And I'm going to say sales method. So I'll put it in rows here. So you can see what we have here. So you can see that for our in-store, these are the total sales we made from in-store. These are the total sales we made from online. I'm going to click on this, my pivot table, insert, recommended charts, just like I did before. And I'll click on, we've not used column charts. So remember, column chart and bar chart, they can do the same work. So I'll click on OK. This stuff is disturbing me. So once I click on OK, I have my chart here. I'm going to name it sales by sales method. Because I already named my page, I'll just come here and paste it. Now, because I told you that we'll still be doing the same thing. For my bars, once I click on my bars, I'll just come to this place and I'll change here to how many percent? Who can tell me how many percent for my gap width? Remember, we are trying to be consistent. We want to make sure that all our charts have the same style of formatting. 30%. Thank you so much. Mary, Funke, Emilia, thank you so much. So we have 30 and I'll press enter. Now, we want some sort of hierarchy. So I'm going to come here and I'll sort by largest to smallest. So we have our hierarchy here. I'm going to come on this field button here and I'll say hide all field buttons on charts. I'm going to delete this one. To highlight it, press delete or backspace. I want to delete this one too. Backspace. Then I'm going to come here and say data labels. Yes, give me data labels. I don't like grid lines, so I'm going to delete it. You can make your own lighter, okay? I'm going to come to this place, make it the darkest color of gray. The darkest color of gray. The darkest color of gray. Then for my bar, I'm going to select only this one here. I'll come here, give it the darkest color of gray. Give it the darkest, the second to just this. And then this. Now, because I want to show proportions, okay? I wanted to do this first before I show you what I want to show you. I want to show proportions. I'm going to come to this place, click on any of this, I'll right click. Now we can summarize our values. I'll click on summarize values by. So you can either choose the total sum, the count, average, but this is not what we want to do. We want to show values as percentage of the grand total. So I'm going to click on this. But before I click on this, I want to show you what it is before. We have the sum of total sales, but we don't want sum of total sales. I'm going to right click and do show value as percentage of grand total. So I'm going to click on this. So you can now see that we have percentage, right? Now, is this the right chart to use for percentage? Who can tell me the right chart we need to use for percentage? Who can tell me the right charts we need to use? Hi, chat. Thank you, Rosemary and Funke and Rachel. So I'm going to click on this and I'll go to insert. and I'll go to recommended charts, and I'll go to pie charts. So this is what my pie chart. So we have different types of pie charts. We have this one. We have, remember, don't use 3D. These are 3Ds. Okay. We want to make sure that, so we have donuts. We have donuts, but we are going to be using this one. So I'm going to click on OK. I'm going to be deleting this one. Okay, let me just show you another thing we can do with Excel. So sometimes you might want to, if these two charts were the same now, you might want to copy the formatting from here and put it here. So you just click on the chart you want to copy to formatting from, go to home. There's this brush format painter, this brush looking icon, just click on it. First things first, you select the chart you want to copy from. You click on format painter and then you touch the second one you want to. So if these two charts were the same now, this formatting I did here will transfer to this one, but because they are not the same, it is confused. So I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to copy this my title just so that we don't recopy it again. I'm going to delete this one by clicking backspace or delete. I'll come here, rename my title. Then I'm going to delete this. Hide all field button. But we need this, we need the people reading our charts to know, oh, what is this color for? So we're going to leave this one. Then we need data labels. I'll come here and I'll take my data labels. So we call this thing here legend. So we know that blue is for in-store. This orange is for outlets, okay? So I'm going to leave that one there. Now, I don't like the way this stuff is in the inside. There are two ways you can change that. So I can come here, go to data labels, enter outside end. So I'm going to choose outside end. Did we get that? Data labels inside outside end. So I'll click on this. The second method is just to, let me just Ctrl Z, so I'll show you the other method. The other method is just to drag it. Drag it. But we don't want to do that. But that's another method. I just want to show you that it is possible. So I'm going to say outside end. Sorry, I did not select all of them. Let me do this again. Ctrl Z. So data labels, outside end. So now we want to format it. I'll make my color dark gray, make my color, text color dark gray. Now I want to format this and I'll select just this part. And so I like to give the biggest one. The biggest one here is this 39.63. I'll give it the darkest shade, which is this. The next one is this one. I'll give it another dark shade, which is this. Then this one, I'll give it the lightest shade. So now that we are done with this, we can now leave this one here. Do we have any question? Let me even see if we're still in line with. So I wanted to show you something here. That's why I have this chart open. Now, because at the end of this program, you'll be working on your own personal data set from Kaggle, I wanted to show you, in case you have a data set that has different age like this, but you don't want to display all this age on your chart. Remember, you can use histogram. Let's say you want to group them 18 to 22, 22 to, like, you just want to add 5 like age brackets. Sorry, oh Jesus, age bracket on. So this is how you do it on pivot table. You add your pivot table the same way you do your pivot table. You want to right click here. Right click on this side here. You right click and then you choose group. This is not part of the, please don't do this, okay? I just wanted to show you before so I can close this Excel sheet. So you click on group. Now it's asking you, the only important thing here is it show you that what you are trying to group started at 18 and it ended in 70. So the largest age we have in this data set is 70. The smallest age we have here is 18. Remember, this is not in the data set that we are working with. So you want to group, it's asking you, do you want to group by 10? So if you want to group by 10, it's going to be 18 to 28. That is 18. 10, that's 28. So 18 to 28, it's group them together. Click OK. So you can see that it has grouped it for you. I just wanted to show you this. This is not part of our lesson, but I wanted to show you this in case you'll be working with. So if you want to make it 10, you still click group and you change it to 10. You click OK. So you see 18 to 27, 28, blah, blah, blah. So this is what I wanted to show you on this part. That's why I had it open. So now let's make sure that we are still in line with what we are doing. I want to check my peer analysis board. So this is the one I've completed before. So, okay, we are still in line. So the next thing I want to do is I want to duplicate again so that we'll not have to. I'm going to do move to end, create a copy. So I want to say, I'll call this one total sales by region. Total sales by region. So I'm going to Control A and Control C because that's also going to be my chat name. Now, on your dashboard, you should not have more than 8 charts. In fact, 8 is, so on your dashboard, you should have at most 7 to 8 charts. You don't want to have more than, but you can have different pages. So don't worry, when we are combining, when we get to the dashboard, just remind me, I'll repeat the same thing and tell you why. So I'm going to click on my pivot table. I'm going to close this up, pivot table analyze field. So I'm going to say, we are doing total sales by region. So where will I put this my region? Is it in rows or column? I want to do total sales by region. Where will I put my region? Is it in my rows basket or my column? Rows. Thank you, Mary. So I'm going to carry my region. I'll put it in my rows. And then I'll put total sales where? Where will I put my total sales? Is it in column, filters, or values? Which one? Values. Thank you, Funke. So I'll put total sales in my values. So we have this. Now, I'm going to put my inserts, and I'm going to click, let's say column. We can still change this when we come to creating our dashboard. So I'm going to come here, hide this, delete this, delete this. I'll close this up so that you can see what I'm doing. I'll delete this. Then I'll open my charts elements, whatever. Then I'll click on these bars and change this to 30%. Enter. So now I want to sort this. I'm going to say sort by smallest to largest. No, this is not what we want. So sort from largest to smallest. Good. So I want to say, give it my title, total sales by region. I want to give this my darkest shade of gray, darkest shade of gray. Now it's time to format this. I'm going to come here, home. There's a way you can change these bars here, but I just prefer this method. I'll come here, pick this, pick this, pick this. Oh, but no. So Control Z is your friend. So I want to highlight only this one and do this. Good. This is what I wanted to do. Now this is our hey, Control Z. Control Z is going to be your friend. And in Excel, as you are doing, just be doing Control S to save because you don't want to lose all your work. So I just saved it. So just focus on this place. As soon as I save, you see it saying save to this PC. Good. So the next one we want to have is how many charts do we have so far? Because of another thing about dashboard creation is that the size of your screen matters. So because I've been doing analysis with my screen, for this laptop here, it is bigger. So 8 charts can enter here, but for this laptop, it's just 7 charts that can enter here. So we'll be working with 7 charts today. So we have, so far we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, sorry, 4. So 3 more to go. So I want to know my total sales by retailers. Retailers. So I'm going to Control A and Control C. I'm sorry, I forgot to duplicate this so we don't have to stress ourselves. So I'm going to do move to copy, move to end, create a copy, okay. So I'm going to come to this place, click on this, close this field lists. So I'm going to say retailer in my rows, total sales, values, good. So I'm going to come to home and I'm going to insert my recommended charts and I'll say bar charts. So I'm going to say, I'm going to right click here to remove this. Highlight this, remove this. I'm going to paste total sales by retailers. I want to sort this out. I'll say sort largest to smallest. No, sort smallest to largest. I want to remove this. I want to work on my bars, so 30%. So you can play around though to find out different things you can do to format. So I'll be doing data labels. I'll turn this on and then I'll remove my grid lines. You can keep your grid lines, but you don't want, the reason I do not want this, sometimes these grid lines, they are distracting. So either you make it very light so that people will not notice the grid lines or you just remove it. So the next thing we want to look at is our, so we have how many more charts to go? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 more to go. So let me just duplicate this then 2 times. Sorry, I need to delete this. This is not the one with pivot table. So you want to be careful with deleting. There's no way you can Control Z. Oh, sorry, I did not format this one. So let me format this. So come here, pick my darkest shade. So here. Here and here. So now we are done formatting this. Since we have 2 more charts to go, I'm going to duplicate this again so that, and I want it to be at the end. So by the right, good. Let's see the 2 remaining charts that we have here. For the line chart on monthly trend, please, how can we change the color? So for monthly trend, there are 2 ways you can change it. So let me come back to it. So either you click on the line, you see series option, color, you click on this to change the line. Or you right click and you go to outline and you click on the darkest shade. Both of them works. So this outline is only for this line chart. Okay, good. So the next thing we want to look at is, let's see what we are missing out. So we've done total sales by product category, monthly sales by sales chart method. We've done region, retailer. So we need the average operating margin by product. You're welcome, Rachel. So we need the average operating margin by product. So I'm going to come here, click on this, close this. Okay. Operating margin. Sorry, operating margin is going to be values, then product. So because I don't have So I'm going to right click here. Sorry, my right click is misbehaving. So I'm going to say show, not show values, summarize values by average. So you click on this and you say summarize values by, you click on average. Another way you can do it is there's a drop down in this your values here. You click on this drop down on the average of operating margin, you go to value field settings, and then you click on average and you say okay. So these are the two methods you can try. So now the next thing we want to do is, since this is 2, 4, 6, so want to see this is the average of operating margin. It's showing us our data sets. It came in percentage format. So see the operating margin here. Sorry, operating margin here. Look at it here. So it came in percentage format. Sorry, there was something I missed. I just came back and I noticed it. So when you are cleaning your data, you want to make sure that your data set is in the right data, the columns are in the right data type. So when I highlight this now, you can see this part here. We have general, number, currency, accounting, and the rest. So because this is a text, I'm going to leave it as general. I'll come to this place, click on this drop down. I'll still leave it as general. And the reason I'm not leaving it as number is because any number, this stuff is just like an ID. If it is in Power BI or SQL. Rachel, please send me a DM, okay? Okay. Send me a DM on WhatsApp. So this retailer ID, any data you cannot, for example, you can't do all this, so you cannot sum it, you cannot find the average, just basic formulas. If you cannot do it on it, just leave it as general. Okay, like this one here, this price, we can look for the sum. We can look for the average. So this one, we need to leave it as number. But because it is money, we are going to leave it as currency, which is still money. So once you convert it to currency, it will give you this .00, which we don't want. So I'll just come to this place, decrease decimal, I'll put it 2 times, and it will remove. So this retailer, I'm going to leave it as general. There's no need why I should look for the sum. This is like the retailer ID. For the invoice, I'm going to convert it to dates, short dates. Okay. Region, general. States, general. City, general. Product, general. Now this, we are going to convert it to currency, which we have done. Units sold is number, because this is the amount of goods we sold. So we want to reduce it to, want to remove this .00. So I'll click on this place to reduce it. Total sales, currency. So I'll remove the dots. So this, I'll do the same thing. We are talking money here, so currency. Reduce this. Operating margin, number. Then I'll make it percentage. So I'll come here and put it as percentage, okay? Did you see how we did that? Do we have any question on this? So it's just you clicking general, okay? Sorry, we're supposed to do this so before doing analysis. I totally forgot, but yeah. So sorry about your network, Victoria, please. So sorry, okay? It happens, network. So sorry. So now that we are here, now we want to, now that we have the average of our operating margin, 2, 4, 6, okay. So for your pie chart, since it's percentage, you're welcome. Since it's percentage, we want to use our pie chart. So since we've used pie chart, we can just use our, do I like the way this one is looking? Okay, let's use donut since we've not used donut before. Let me close this so we can see what we are doing. Now, for your pie chart, you don't want to use pie chart for anything that is more than 6. 6 is like the max, okay? So I'm going to right click here and hide all buttons, all field buttons. And I'm going to say average. So just to make it short, I'll just say AVG dots operating average of, okay, of, what am I doing? Okay, average of, yes, operating margin. So I'm going to copy this and give it to our charts title. I'll press enter. So I'm going to be formatting this, making sure that we are using the same font color. So I want my data labels to be outside. You can also format this your legend though. Hold on. So I think I'll have to manually drag this thing outside because, yeah, you can also do it this way. Now we want to format this stuff here. So I'm going to come here, pick the darkest shade. I'll just be going around and so now that we are done with this one, I think the last chart. Okay, we don't use 3D chart because I'm going to use 3D chart so that you see. It makes it, everybody wants to sign attendance. Okay, I think we are going to round up and then we'll continue maybe tomorrow. Or I'll just tell you when we are going to continue since everybody's, or should we just continue today? So the next thing we're going to do is top city by sales. So for top city by sales, we are going to use this our last one here. This thing is stopping me, so I'm going to put it here. So I'm going to say top city by sales. We want to know which city is giving us the top money, so we can focus our. Okay, so I'm going to say insert, sorry, not insert, pivot table analyze field. So we're going to say city, city here. I'll drag it to rows, and then sales. I'm going to put it as values. Now, you see that we have a lot of city here. I think the US has 50 to 51 states. So we are looking for, let's say, top 10. Now, how do we get top 10 like this? So I'm going to come here, click on this, and I'll right click. Now, once I right click, I'm going to say filter. Once I click on filter, you see top 10. Now they will ask me, you can even reduce it if you want top 5. Okay, let's do top 5. Now, what do you want top 5 by? We want top 5 by the sum of total sales. Okay, so we click OK, and then we have our top 5 here. I'm going to be inserting my table. I'm going to say this. Let's just use column. I'm going to say OK. So we do the same thing we've been doing. Top city by sales. So I'm going to hide this. Hide this. Okay, yes, I wanted to show somebody why we don't use 3D charts. So let me go to insert and use the 3D formats. Now look at. It's just so hard to read. And it makes your work look messy. If you use 3D charts for all your charts on your dashboard, it makes it hard to read. It makes it look messy. So that's why we stick to 2D. Okay. So now I want to move my grid lines. You can make your own lighter. Okay. Remove this, and then I'm going to be okay. So once I click on this, I'll reduce it to 30. I want to sort this covenant. Somebody attend to you, please. Okay. So I'm going to right click to sort. Then I'll be adding my data labels. And then I'll change the font color, font color. Okay. So now that we are done with all our charts, we want to bring them into our dashboard. So I'm going to create a new sheet and name it dashboard. Now this is where the work is going to happen. So dashboard, I'm creating this new sheet called dashboard. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to give this my background, a background color. And I want to use like a very light color. So I'm going to come back to this place and pick this lightest shade I've not used. I'm going to come here. And I'll do Control A. So because we are not dealing with data now where we might have empty rows, I can do Control A. And I'll come to Home, change my background color. I'll say more colors, custom, and paste here. So I've changed my background color to that lightest shade that we want. Now, I want my dashboard to have a dashboard title. I also like to check if, so if you check here, you see that for our year, we only have 2020 to 2021. So this data set is 2020 to 2021. So I'm going to say, I'm going to insert a shape here. Insert illustrations, then I'll say shape. Now, there was something I mentioned while we were, let me just add it first, then I'll show you what I mentioned. Because I said we're going through the rules one by one. So for this shape, I want it to be my dashboard title. So I'm going to be adjusting this. So let's see this. Now I want my dashboard title to be, what did I use here? Adidas sales dashboard, okay, which is good enough. So I'm going to come here and say, all in capital letter, Adidas sales dashboard, okay? Because the year in this data set is 2020 to 2021, I'm going to write 2020 to 2021. And I'm going to highlight. And I'm going to say, I'm going to centralize it. Now I'm going to increase the font size before I start formatting. I want to make sure that I'm using the same font size for all my charts. So I'm using Calibri Body. And for I just want to increase this one. I'm going to have one dashboard title, so I can increase this one too. Oh, this is too much. You can edit this to, let's say, 26. Let's see what 26 will give us. And I want to make it bold. Oh, I spent this wrong. So Adidas sales dashboard, 2020 to 2021. Now let's edit this. Now this is what we call outline. If you look at this blue chart now, there's this black line here. Okay. Now you can see how outdated it made this dashboard look. There's this black, look around the corner, you see this black line. We call them outlines. So you want to make sure that you remove your outlines. Now, I'm going to right click. Once I right click, you see outline. You can see that the shape outline is black. I'm going to click on this and I'll say no outline. I'll click on no outline here. So you can see that we can no longer see that black line that is surrounded by this, that is surrounded, like that is around our shape. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to put the fill color to be the darkest shade we are working with. And then I want my font color to be this shade of, there's this shade I used. Hold on. There's this light color. Oh, this one here. So I'm going to make it this light. So I'm going to come here and I'll pick this one. Custom. Yeah, so this is not entirely white, but it's that shade. We want to make sure that we are consistent. Now, we set the rule of margin. You can see that I did not push this my shape to the wall. You can see that there is space. This is me abiding to the rule of margin. So now I want to bring in before we bring in our charts, I want to do something else. So I want to put space here for my KPIs. I'll be showing you what KPIs are and how to make it responsive. I also want to insert another shape. Now we have different shapes. If you want to use rounded corner, you want to make sure that you use rounded corners all through. If you want to use sharp edges, you want to make sure that you use sharp edges all through. So this is my KPIs. So I want to do this. Okay, Victoria, where are you lost? Can you unmute and tell us? So let's see if it is far away.
No, please, I would have to rewatch. Like from the beginning of the creation, like this stuff you started doing. My network has been logging
Lagging.
me off.
Okay, no, it's fine. It's fine. Okay, so let's continue. I want to remove the chart outline. So you can see this black stuff here. We want to remove it. We do not want outline. So I'll come here and I'll scroll down to no outlines. So you can see the black stuff is no longer there. I want it to have my darkest gray here. So now that we have this, we can go and bring in our charts. But now there's a problem. The problem is that because this dashboard is for an Adidas data set, the logo we have here, most of it does not come with logo. So sometimes you might have to look for the logo online. And then if the one you saw online has background, you might want to use remove.bg. Remove.bg helps you to remove any background color on pictures, any background color, yes, on pictures. So you might want to upload it here for remove.bg to remove the background. Then you can now copy it. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is, so since I already copied the logo. Now, since the logo we are using is already dark gray, we want this one to be light. So I'm going to come here and change it to this light color here. Then while I change this I'm going to send the colors that I use so that you are not confused. Okay. Sorry, please, I'm checking the chat box for. Now, just so I'm sure on the colors that I use, I want to come and copy this color here. I can't remember the color that I used. Okay. Okay, very light color. Okay, good. So I'm going to come here and change this to the light color. Change this to my darkest gray. Do the same thing for this. Now I want the background color of my dashboard to now be dark. So I'm going to come here and choose my dark gray. Good. I'm going to drag my logo to this place. And I'm going to expand it so that it is big. So you want to make sure you're not expanding it from here. You want to make sure that you're expanding it from here. Okay. And I'll centralize this. So now I want to bring in our charts. Where did I copy the logo from? I copied it from, so it's in our data set here. See where I copied it from? No, attendance form has not been sent on. So this is where I copied it from. It came with the data set. So I just came here, clicked on it, did Control C. Then I went to my dashboard and did Control V to paste it. Did you get that, Shakirat? Okay. So now that we are there, we want to start bringing in our dashboard, our chart, sorry, into our dashboard. So the first chart we created, yes, you're welcome. The first chart we created is this total sales by product category. So I want to Control C. So I'll put my cursor. No, you don't put your cursor here. You put it here, maybe on an empty space in the charts. Here you are selecting all the charts, not the title name or anything. You click here and you Control C. Now, when you Control C, you go to your dashboard and you paste. Okay. Now, you want to make sure that it is uniform. I would like to bring in my charts first, all my charts, before I start arranging them. So after total sales by category, we went to the next chart, which is monthly sales trend. So I'll copy and I'll go back and paste it on my dashboard. I'll paste it here. So you can notice that there's this outline here, which we do not want. So I'm going to move it. I'm going to say no outline. Yeah, so I removed it, no outline. So I'm going to still confirm the colors I picked for this data set later. So we have sales by sales method, total sales by sales method, sorry. Total sales by sales method. So I'm going to Control C and paste it. You don't lock it before copying. Uchechi, please, I did not get. Okay, I did not get what you are saying, please. Can you help me? Can you unmute? So I'm going to come here and paste. So I'm not touching these charts yet till I've copied everything. So I want to.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, there is a place where you lock the particular chart you want to move to the dashboard so that when you move it, because most times maybe your cursor might shift the columns or the pie chart or whatever. So there's a place where I learned it somewhere, but I can't remember. There's a way you lock it in such a way that even though you want to move the chart,
Mm. Uchechi, you are breaking, or like the, or is it just my? I get what you're saying. I want to
moving
understand.
a PDF manner, it just is like a PDF. So you just move it there.
Okay. Sorry, please, was it just from my end, or was she breaking? Okay.
It wasn't clear?
Yeah, like I understand what you're saying. So you have to lock it so that the styling and everything doesn't change, right?
Yes,
You were
yes.
breaking at some point. Yes, you were breaking at some point.
Oh,
I thought
okay.
it was
I
from my
didn't know
end.
somebody is also
Sorry.
confirming it.
Yes, thank you so much for that, okay? Oh, I copied this chat twice. Thank you so much, Uchechi. You see, we learn every day. I didn't even know that. So we've copied total sales by product category, monthly sales. We've done this. So this one now, we did not add data label. So total sales by region. Total sales by region. Total sales by retailers. I still need to confirm my colors. So can't find the colors I used for this data set. Retailers, then this. So I'm going to copy all of them, then I'll now arrange them. So I think this is the last one. So let me confirm the colors. I know that I pasted it somewhere here in my pre-analysis, but I'll be sending you guys a copy of this my pre-analysis board. So let me check. I think it's this one that is the color of my. Let me just copy it. So I'm copying my colors. Let me just paste it here. So I used a darker color for the background color, then a lighter color. Good. So we just need to change this color. Let me change to this color. So we already know how to change colors. So I'll come here, background color, more colors, and I'll choose this one. So you see, it was not even the color we're using. So good. So this is the color I'm looking for. So I'm going to change this to this. Now, this is how you change your chart color. So this is my chart color. You can see it's not the same color as this. So I'm going to click on this. I'll come here and click that color that I use for this. I'm going to do it for all the dashboards so that we are consistent. Okay. I'll change it for all the charts before I start. Then I'll introduce us to what we call slicers. Okay, so now it's time to arrange our charts. So let me start with this one first. Now, when I want to arrange my charts, because I know that I'm going to use slicers, we use slicers to filter. Let me put one slicer. So to put in our first slicer, I'm going to click on one chart first. And then I want to filter by states. So I'm going to come to pivot charts, analyze, and I'll say insert slicer. I'll click on one chart, click on pivot chart, analyze. I'll click on insert slicer. So the charts, pivot chart, analyze, then insert slicer. Then I want to filter by states. So I'm going to click on states. You can only pick one. So states. Now, there are so many things we can do with this slicer, but somebody is writing on my screen. Who is that? So there are so many things we can do with this slicer. We use it to filter. So if I click on Alabama, you can see the top sales by products in Arizona. So you can see it's changing, right? So that's what we use slicers for. So I'm just going to put this here first. Then, because I want my screen to be bigger, I'm going to come to this ribbon display option. So I'll click on it, and then I'll click on full screen. So we now have full screen, okay? Sometimes this stuff might be up. This formula bar might be up. You want to close it so that it's smaller like this. Now, You see that we don't have space. So I'm going to right click and drop here. So yeah, now I can now, the reason why I brought this slicer is I just want to use it to mark where my slicers are going to be. I'm going to add other slicers, but for now, I'll just work with one. So this is my slicer here. I'm still going to edit the colors, but we are coming to that. Now, I'm going to reduce this from here. You don't want to reduce from here. It's going to shrink it in a way you don't like. So you want to reduce it from here. So reduce it both the width and the height. So I'll keep it somewhere here. So we are trying to fit in this our dashboards into this place. So we're obviously going to have 3 rows. Okay, so I want to put this here. Put this here. We can also put this from here. We were imputing this our shape. We saw the shape with rounded corner. So if you're going to use rounded corners, you want to make sure that your chart too also has like rounded corners. Now, this is how you give your chart rounded corners. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to say axis. So when you scroll down, you want to click on the charts. Then I think somewhere around here, hold down, let me look for it. So when you, somewhere around here, you see rounded corners. So once you click on this rounded corners, it's going to give your charts rounded corners. So this is how you give your charts rounded corners. So if you want this one to be rounded corners, this one has to be rounded corners. Your chart has to be rounded corners. So because you want to be consistent. So that is how you do it if you want rounded corners. But for this, we're using sharp edges. Okay, I was trying to see if we have questions. Well, no questions. So I'm going to reduce this to, sorry, we'll soon be done, okay? Stay for go and rest. Your task is going to be to recreate the stuff you're recreating now. So you might want to watch the lesson. Are we missing any charts? Okay, we're not missing it. So I want to put this here. You're still going to work on the font sizes. One chart is missing. So we have 2, 4, 6. Remaining 1. So we're still going to arrange this. So let's just fix this first. So, okay, I think the charts are complete. So we're trying to fit this brother here. So this is why it is good to have like big screen. This is where it comes into play. I want to put this here. So somewhere around here, we're going through we're still going to arrange our font sizes, but it's not going to waste time. This is why I don't like donut charts, but yeah. So I'm going to reduce this. This is too big, so these brothers can have space here. So you want to make sure that, if you notice, I'm making sure that I put space all around. So you can see space. There's no one that is joining together. That's the rule of margin. I will. Control Z is your friend though, and Control S is your friend. So I'm going to save my work. I want to save so that in case anything happens, I don't lose all my work. So I'm going to do this. And I am going to do this. And do this. So I'm trying to see if there are questions. Okay, no questions yet. Okay. So now there's also something I do here. It's easier so for this place, I can just open now that I've seen how everything can fit, I can now open this, which I'm still going to be closing because I want to change this chart type. Hold on. Okay. So this chart type, I want to change it to, you can also change it from here. I want to change it to my bar chart. So I feel like bar charts, fits in very well because of space. I still need more space, so I'm going to reduce this one. So before I save, I can see that this is going to be a problem. So I can come here and change to my working sheet. I'll just come to this place and do M 3 times to make it smaller. Good. Now we'll save. Sorry, I'm just checking to see if there are questions on the chat box. So still it's not still showing. So we want to reduce this one here. This is our KPIs part. So we have space for our charts. So it's just this adjusting it that is stressful. So yeah. Okay. So we have more space for the chart to breathe. Okay. I'm going to close this again so that I can see very well. Okay. Charts. Okay. Good. Now I want to increase this one so that. So for this zero, where we said that the first place, if somebody's looking at your dashboard, the first place that their eyes will most likely go to is this place. So you want to make sure that your most important, so they move from top left to top right. So you want to make sure that your most important charts are here at the top. So they move mostly like this, and like this, zero. So I'm going to increase this and increase this. I'm just trying to see a way this stuff can. Okay, good. Let me see how I can expand this. So if you notice very well, you see that I have to refresh so that so I come to data, and I'm going to say refresh all so that my short date will reflect here. So you see it as reflected here. So good. So my short data is reflected. If you saw, I went to change it to short date instead of full date, just so we have space. So I'm still going to adjust this, so don't worry about this. Hold on. There's a way to adjust that. So I'm going to Control Z. I want to make sure that they are on the same line. Good. Okay, so for this part here, there's something else you can do. You can click on this and drag. Okay, so it depends on your screen size. Your screen might accommodate you to enlarge this. But because the laptop I'm sharing with, the screen size is very small, we have to work with what we have. So you can also adjust this too and move it upward so that you have space to shift these guys. Okay. So first things first, I want to reduce this one here. So you can do that. And then Ctrl Z. So you can adjust this. So you can just see, you can just keep on dragging this part here because of time. So now I'm going to drop this down because I can't see my home tab if this is not showing my ribbon. I can't see my ribbon. So these are your ribbons. So I'm going to make sure that every chat title. I'm so sorry, Shakira. I'm so sorry about your network. Okay. Maybe you just watch the lesson. Sorry. So I'm going to click on my chat type. We already worked on the colors, so the colors are consistent. So I want to make sure that they have the same font size. So I'm going to use 14 for all of them. So I want to make sure that all of them, they are 14. If it's too big, I want to make sure that maybe they are like 12 because of my screen size. So I'm going to say 12. Font size 12. This one is 12 already. This one is 14. So I'll reduce it to 12. I'm going to use this one to 12. 12. 12. Okay. So now our font sizes are 9. 9. This one 9. I want to make sure that everything is consistent. We want to use one font size, not this 9, 12. So we are so this is 10. We have to reduce it to 9. So it depends on just make sure that whatever you are doing is consistent. 9, 9, 9. Okay, 12, 9. You can also increase this so that, okay. So 9, 9. 999. So the next thing we want to do is introduce our KPIs. Very important. So here, let me show you what our KPIs are. So here, this is what we call KPIs. So what are our total sales revenue? Now, these KPIs, you can put yours here. You can line them up here. Okay? Under this dashboard title, you can line your KPIs here. You can put this your logo here. You can even put this there's no one way to build a dashboard. You can even put this your slicers by the left. You can put it by the right. Okay? So now your KPIs are, for this data set, want to know the total sales revenue, want to know the total profits, want to know the average of operation margin, best-selling products. Now, you can manually input that here, but I don't like to do it manually. I want, when I click on this slicer, it should affect the total sales revenue. So if I clear this slicer, I see that it's not 9,000. But for me, sorry, the total sales revenue was 9,000, whatever. So because I want it to be dynamic, I will not impute the numbers myself, okay? So I'm going to come to this is how I do it. I'm going to come here and create a new sheet for KPIs. Okay. I'm so sorry about your bad network, Victoria. So sorry. So I'm going to come here and insert my card. I'm going to say insert shape. I'm going to pick this box here. I'm going to put it here. Now, for my KPIs, I think I have 5 or 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4. So for my total sales revenue, this is my card here. I'm going to... The only thing that's not going to be dynamic is the KPI title. So I'm going to say insert text box. Here. Okay, we are going to format it. So I'm going to say total sales revenue. Okay. So I want this to be transparent. So I'm going to say no fill. So it's going to take the color of this my card. So you can see this black stuff here, which is outline. I'm going to remove it, no outline. So you scroll down here and you see no outline. Now the color for my KPIs are what color? Okay, the same color here. So I'm also going to do this one here, no fill. Then I don't want this my text box to have border. Before I remove that fill, I want to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to say, I'm going to give it an outline. So because this background is plain, I want to give it an outline so I'll know where my KPI started from and where it is ending. But I don't want my text box to have any outline. So I'm going to say no outline. So when sorry, I did not remove it very well. So I'm going to come here, outline, no outline. Good, so there's no outline now. Now I want to increase the font size, make sure it is calibrate body, and I want it centralized. Is it centralized? Okay, center, good. And I want it to have this border. This dark gray. So I'm going to come in and remove the background color of this card. I'll say no fill. There's something else I'm missing out here, my icon. I'm going to make this bold first before I add my icons. Now, to add your icons, you just come here and say insert, illustrations, icons. So Excel has limited icons, so you might want to outsource your icons. You can get from flat icons. But yeah, let's just use the one Excel has. So I'll say money, total sales revenue. We are talking about money. So I'm going to be using, should I use this or this? So let me just use this one. Insert. So it's going to download it. So I don't know why it likes going to the bottom, but you drag it. Yeah. So you drag it again. Control Z is your friend though, in this Excel. So I'm going to click on this, I'm going to click on my icon and drag it to where I want it to be. But then it's too big. So I'll go to graphics formats, height. I'll just do 0.8 to make it smaller. It's not still as small as I want it to be. Say 0.6. So I want to move this one down a little bit so it can accommodate this one. Control Z. So you have to be very careful and you have to see what is changing and what is not changing. So see now. So I'm still going to reduce this again. So let's say 0.4. And I'll drag it to the middle. 0.4 is small, so I'm going to say 0.5. So you just keep on adjusting, but you make sure that since I've used 0.5 here, I'm going to make sure that I use 0.5 for all my icons, just so that my work is consistent. So now it's time to bring in our KPIs. This is where I want it to be responsive. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to say, please, what is KPI? Please hold on. So this here. Sorry. Okay. So this, they are just like summary, very short summaries. So you want to know what your total sales revenue are. Yes, they are KPI, key performance indicator, yeah. So they are just short cards. They are like summary. So we have total sales for each product here. But we want to know what our total sales, like for the whole 2020 to 2021. We use KPIs to depict that. Okay. So the full name, key performance indicator. Thank you, Funke. So we want to make this the number, that is our total sales. We want to calculate it now, but we want to use KPIs. You can use formulas, but I want my own to be responsive because I just showed you. So we use KPIs to track total revenue, total profit, and all of that. So for my KPIs, I want to, let me just duplicate this so that I don't stress. I want to make a copy of this. I want it to move to the end. I want to create a copy. I'll say, okay. So I'm going to copy this one. And I'm going to delete this page. So I'm going to call this one my KPI. And I'm going to delete this chart because I don't want this. And then I'll open my pivot table, analyze, and remove this. So I want to know what's my total revenue for this data set is from 2020 to 2021. So I'm going to say total sales. Because let me just write total sales here. I'm going to drag it and put it in value. Now we have our total sales here. But because I want it to be responsive, I'm not just going to impute this number. I'm not just going to copy it and paste it there. I want it to be responsive. I want the slicers to, also filter this. So I'm going to come here and I'll say insert text box, and I'll draw it out here. Now, once I draw out my text box here, I'll just select my chart here. Now, I don't want to click inside though, because I want to write a formula here. I'm going to come to this, I'll put my cursor here. Once it's showing this plus icon or symbol, I'll click on this. So you see that that stuff that was blinking here is no longer blinking. I'm going to come here and write equal to. Now, as soon as I write equal to, I'll come to my KPIs and I'll click on this and I'll press enter. Okay, so hold on. So I have to clean this first again. So Ctrl Z. So I want to select this, my box. This particular one can be so humbling. So we want to select it once. Hold on, I have to clean this. So I don't know why it is stressing me now out, but hold on. So for every mistake you make, you have to clean it. So what I'm just going to do is to make things easier and faster. I'm just going to come here and copy this text box here. It's just, okay, no. I have to go and cancel my equal to. So you have to be very careful with this equal to. So I want to clean this equal to. And I'm going to come here and select this stuff here. Oh no, it's Ctrl Z, Ctrl C. So I'm going to copy this text box here. Come here and paste it. Now, this is what I want. Okay, I'm going to remove this one here. Delete. We're going to try that one later. I wish I had the time for it to humble me, but wait, this is not the time. So yeah, this is my KPI, but I want it to, this is not going to, the slicer is not going to affect this one because I copied the text box, okay? So I'm just going to come here and clean this one. I just wanted the one that has this equal to here. So now that this one has this equal to, I'm going to come here, go to my KPIs and click on this, and I'll press enter. Something is wrong. I think I need to restart my Excel. Let me just say 2 plus 2. Let me just see if it is from here. Or a defined name. Hold on. Okay. Please hold on. So I'm going to just delete this one first. So I'm going to say, let me try it again. So I'm going to say equal to, let me just try it. Let me see if this inbox is working. The inbox is not working. You can try renaming the cell. Ejiro, please unmute. Ejiro, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So you said,
You can try going back to that KPI's interface and renaming that particular cell that contains the number. Rename it
let's
to
see. Renaming,
rename under this that place that is showing the name of the cell already, like B4 or something at the corner, close to the
okay, this
formula
is
bar.
5.
Yes, yes. And
So you
rename it
know,
from the cell close to the
okay,
formula bar.
I think you're using 2 devices. Are you using 2 devices to
Yes.
join? Okay, I think you need to mute one so it doesn't shout. So the first thing first is this is not like an ordinary cell. This is a pivot table.
Yes,
So
you
you
can
can only
rename it.
rename, I know, but when you rename the pivot table, you are renaming the whole pivot table, not the cell. Please, can you unmute? Just unmute one of your, I'm sorry. Yes, mute one of your device so that it doesn't echo. So let's try this. But I get what you're saying, but it's not like a normal cell. It is a pivot table. Do you get?
But it will also give us what we are trying to do. I've tried it before and it
Okay,
works.
let's try your method. Okay, this is what you mean, Abby. This one here.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, not the entire pivot table. So let's just call it total sales.
You can't add spaces though. You have to type without
You
space.
must enter. Okay. Okay, let's try this your method.
Okay, then the equal
So we
to
have 18 more minutes to finish. If not, this call is going to end. Let's see if we can. So if I do like one of these KPIs and it works. So let's say that was B. This is very humbling. Yeah.
no equals total sales. Excel will show you the formula. Just type total and you get it there, total sales, and enter.
Wow, we really learned it today. What's your name, please? Ejiroba?
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much for this. This is nice. So thank you so much. This your method is working. My method
Mhm.
has humbled me, but yeah, it's good. So come here and we increase it to 11 is too small. Let's say 16, and then we make it bold. So yeah. But that method works, so that's what I used to create all my dashboards. Wow. Some days are like that. So for my, thank you so much, Ejiro. So referencing Emmanuel, yeah. So like I said, in Excel, there are different ways to get different things done. So because I want my KPIs to be consistent, we have a few more minutes to go before this call ends. It's supposed to end by 7:30, I think. So I'm going to highlight my whole KPI card. Remember, we have 3 cards if one for this total sales, one for the amount. So I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste. So I'm going to put it here. So this is my KPIs. I want all my KPIs to be on this sheet here. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to go to pivot table. I'm going to do select entire pivots. I'll do Control-C and then I'll come here. I have to give like 2 columns. If not, it's not going to work. So I'll do Control-V. So, no. Okay, yes. So to be sure that this works, let me open this. So the next KPI we want to look at is the total profits. So I want my total profits. I'm going to remove total sales and going to look for profits. So profits, operating profits, I'm going to put it here. So we're going to use Ejiri's method, but yeah, I'm going to do this because we don't have all the time. So I'm going to Control-C and Control-V. Sorry, Control-C, Control-C, Control-V. Then I'll drag this to this place and I'll say total profits. Yeah. Then I want to add my icon. I'll say insert, I'll say illustrations, and I'll say icon. Then I'll say money again. So since you're dealing with dollar, remember you can use any icon you want. You can also bring in icons, but I just chose Excel icons, so it's easier. So I'm going to put it here, and for this icon, we use 0.45, I think 5. So I want to make sure that it is consistent. So I'm going to move this brother here. So I'm going to drag here. Okay, good. So you can see that all my icons even have margin. Everything has like a margin. So then I want to insert my next text box and try that method and see if it's going to work one more time. So we have to go and rename again. Oh, no. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to say, rename this F5 to operating profit. No, I don't want capital letter. Profit. This call is going to end anytime soon. Sorry, wait, I want to be sure of something. Okay. Operating profits. So go back to our dashboard and we say equal to, I want to make sure that we select this cell. Let me clean this. So we want to make sure that we select this cell. And we do some sort of equal to, and we say operating profits comes up. I did not copy the total sales. I only moved it. Okay, thank you so much. No, that's not what I want to do. Control-C. Who is this person? Emilia. Thank you so much for that. So I want to copy this and put this border back up. Okay, for the attendance, yes, before the call ends, let me send in the attendance now before this call ends. Please, you have to fill it fast. So this is the attendance for today. That was a very good question now. blessing. Thank you so much for that. So the next thing we want to do is, so the attendance is in the chat box, please fill it in. So we want to drag this brother to this place and drag this brother to this place. So we want to make sure that this is centralized. And then here we say equal to total sales. So I want to format it to what we have. That profit is not correct. It's in 14 and bold. So this one we are going to say equal to operating. What do we even call this KPI? Sorry, let me delete. So I've forgotten what I called this. So I'm going to say for the KPIs, I'm going to say we called it operating profit. Oh, we did not name operating profit. I'm just going to say operating P. So I'll come here and I'll say click on this. Please fill in the attendance form or is in the chat box. I'll say operating P. And I'll press enter. So 3, 2 something. So we're going to put it in 14 and make it bold. So now we have our total profit. So we're going to be duplicating. Good. Yeah, just fill in the attendance form and you are good to go. So I want to select this KPI card, Ctrl C and Ctrl V. Oh, Ctrl Z. So I want to select my KPI card. Place it here. And then insert the other one. So with the way this thing is going, the fourth one might not enter. So maybe during your spare time, you might want to adjust till the fourth one enter. So our fourth key performance indicator is the average of our operating margin. So we do the same thing we did before. So I'm sorry, I'm trying to check for if we have questions. So I'm going to duplicate this. So Ctrl C, Ctrl V. So average of operating margin, right? That's the next KPI, average of operating margin. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to select, hold on, yeah. So I'm trying to edit this. Okay, good. So sorry, what is this one doing up here? So I'm going to delete, highlight and delete. Good. So we're going to, this one is stressing me out. So I just impute a new text box. So I'm going to come here and I'll say this and this. So this is what I was talking about when I was saying you can copy formatting. So I want to copy this formatting to this one now. I'm going to come here, click on this and click on this brother. So it's going to collect I don't have to adjust the font size again. So I'm going to say average of operating margin. Good. Hold on. So I'm going to centralize this and make it no fill. Good. So I think we are good to go for this. So I'll do the same thing here. Ctrl C and Ctrl V, copy this and put it here. So this one has an outline that I do not want. This, whatever. So I'm going to remove the outline and put no outline. Good. So here, so I'm going to do the KPIs for this. So I'm going to say, I'm going to copy this. So the way you copy pivot table is different. So you want to come to pivot table, analyze, you want to do and select entire pivots. You do Control C and then you want to give like 2 column gap or 3 safe. So we want to do average of operating margin. So I'm going to put operating margin here and remove. So I'm going to remove operating profits. I want operating margin. I want to do something important before this call ends. So I want average, not sum. Remember I said there are 2 methods. This is one of them. Good. So I'm going to name this using the same method we used before, operating. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to say equal to operating margin. So before this call ends, I want to rush and do the slicers, okay? So for these slicers, we want to connect it to, so for now, it's connected to only this chart here. So we want to connect it to some of these charts here. So I want to also connect it to my KPIs. So I'm going to say, click on slicer, come to slicer, and then I'll say report connection. So there's so many things there's so many ways you can format this slicer. You can make it to be 2 columns, which is like this. 2 columns, but for our own, we want 1 column, so which is this. So you can also reduce the width, the height. You can also reduce the width from here and the height from how we have been doing it. You can also come here to change the colors. So because there's no time for us to format it to the color that is on this dashboard, well, I'll be sending the slicers to you so you know what to do. So I want to report connection. So I want to link it to all my pivot tables. So for my KPIs, we have average of operating margin here. To select it because I want it to be connected to the pivot table controlling this KPI. So I'm going to select all my KPIs. So you can see KPI sheets, this sheet here. So I want it to be connected to all my KPIs, okay? Now, for this, my charts, I want it to be connected to all the charts except the one that has retailers. So you see this one that has retailers, I'm going to select all except that one. So I'll click OK. So that once I click on Alaska, it affects like all my charts. So I have to go and change this total sales by region here. Okay, the slicer is affecting it. So I don't want it to be connected to region. Okay. So I'm going to come here, click on this same slicer, click on slicer, report connection. I want to remove region. Good. So I'm going to select this and refresh. Data, refresh all. Good. So I want my sales by region. I don't want it to be sorted in that manner. So I'm going to say sort in. I'm going to say, yes, I want it to be sorted like this. So if I click on Alabama, this one is not affected. So the ones you don't want it to affect, these states is going to, now Alabama, This is the monthly sales for Alabama, Alaska, Arizona. So every other thing is changing apart from this region. Now, the next one we want to do is retailer. Do we have any question? Okay, no question. Now, the next thing we want to do is insert our second slicer. So I'll come to insert, not insert, pivot table, analyze, and insert. So I want to insert slicer for retailers. Where is retailers? Okay, retailer up here. So I'm going to say okay. Now I'm going to reduce it so that it matches this one here. I want to make sure that there is margin on all corners. Now, this retailer is going to, I want it to affect every other thing. I want to remove the slicer here. So I want it to affect every chart here except the one with retailers. So I'll click on my slicer, I'll click on report connections, I'll click on all of them except the one with retailers. So why? Because we're already filtering by retailers. We don't want, it's going to act weird if we report connections with this retailer here. So you want to uncheck the one with retailers. So when I click on this, you can see that the total revenue for Amazon is this. Total profit is this. So you can see that their best selling product is this. So maybe do this food's own. Everything is changing apart from retailers. Yeah. So we're going to clear it by clicking on this clear filter here. And the next filter you want to add is by day of the week. So I'm trying to do this before the call ends. So I'm going to say in pivot chart analyze, and I'll say insert. And I'm going to say day of the week. So which day do we have more sales? So we're going to still do the same thing here. Drag it. Make sure it is on the same line. Then shrink. So you want to make sure that there is some sort of margin. Then you report connections. You want it to affect everything except the one with months. So you want it to affect everything except the one with months. Sales by month. So I'm trying to look for the one with sales by month. We don't want it to affect that. Okay, sit here. So when we click on Sunday, you know, it affects everything except for the month. So now that we still have small time, let's see if we can learn how to format slicers. So slicers on its own is like a different topic. Let me clear this filter. It's like a different separate topic, but to format your slicer, you want to click on your slicer, you open this drop down here. You can see that this one is one I selected, this one here, dark. So you want to right click on it and you want to duplicate. Now, once you duplicate, you want to name it Adidas Slicer. I'll just show you how to do it. And then, now Adidas Slicer, what do you want if you want to change the color of the whole slicer, you can click on Slicer, Format. Then do you want to increase the font? Let's say I want the font to be 12. I want it to be Calibri body so that it is consistent. I want it to be regular. I want the color to be the dark. This, I'll click on OK. I'll click on OK. Now, it's not going to do anything. But when you click on this custom here, you can see that the font increased. The font is not the same with this. So now that you have done that, you have your custom Adidas slicer. You can now, instead of duplicating again, you just do modify. So you want your header. If you want your header to have like a background color, you come to fill, and then you come to, let's say we want it to be, please hold on. So sorry about that. So for the fill, let's say we want the header. Remember, I clicked on header. So header, I'll click on format and I'll say I want the fill color to be, let's say white. Well, let's just say blue so we see what we are doing. So I'm going to click on OK and OK. So you see the header color is blue. So this is how you format your slicer. Can anyone hear me? Okay. So this is how you format your slicer. So there are different options. You click on modify again. Do you want to format for the selected item when there's no data? So they are different. So you just click on what you want to style. You click on format, and then you can add border. You can change the font. You can click the fill. So that is how you style border. But I'm going to be sending you guys a picture of the formatted slicer. I'm trying to see the questions. So I'm trying to see if there any question. Let's take question before. So I'll be sending you a do we have any question? I'm checking the comment section. So that means no question. Okay, someone is asking for the attendance. I think. Okay. Okay. So let's look at the comment. Let's see. Okay. So I think that is it for today. I'll be sending in the task and I'll be sending in the task for this week. I'll be sending in this pre-analysis board and also a copy of the slicer. So you might want to format it yourself. Once I insert this slicer here now, once I copy this slicer, I might also be sending a video of how to recreate this slicer I created here. So once I put it here, somebody's mic is unmuted. So once I paste it here, I'm going to see the formatted one here. So I can now change all my slicers to this. All my slicers to this. And all my slicers to this. So somebody's mic is unmuted. Do you have a question? Who's this person? Okay. So I think that is it for today. Thank you so much for attending today's session, and see you. If you have any other question, you can ask on the group and I'll attend to you. I'll be sending in your task. Hope everybody here has filled in the attendance form. If you filled in the attendance form, please give me a thumbs up. Okay. Thank you, Emilia. Thank you. I can't pronounce your name. Abubakar, thank you. Okay, this brings us to the end of the lesson. Thank you so much, guys, for joining. I think you can leave the call now. Bye, everyone. You're welcome, Emilia. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Shakira. Thank you, Praise. Thank you, Uchechi Victory. Noella, thank you. Everybody, thank you. Thank you. You can leave the call now.